Well, hello there, YouTube. Welcome to Monday's edition of The Breakfast Club. Got that funk here. I'd like to thank you for joining me. As you can probably tell from the timbre of my voice, I'm still a bit under the weather. Last week I missed my show because I had a bad case of the flu. And so I had Brock Lawley, he had given me a guest host video which I could post at any time. And I posted his video called Dear Democrats, Enough is Enough. It got pretty well received here on YouTube, and I don't mean well received in the sense that very many people liked it. I mean, it got a fair decent amount of views and comments, which is what we're really after here on The Breakfast Club. Comments are the most important thing as far as I'm concerned when it comes to the videos on The Breakfast Club. So I want to thank you all for engaging with Brock in his video, and also thank Brock for engaging back with the audience. Even though, you know, Brock, you do duck some pretty important points being made in the comment section, like mine, but I'm not going to go there. Now, this video, despite its title, is not a direct response to Brock's video last week. It would take absolutely forever and serve no useful purpose for me to go through Brock's video and sort of debate or refute point by point the things Brock was saying. Instead, I'm going to make my own sort of declarative video like Brock did about what I think about what's going on with the grand old party, the Republicans in America right now. The last time, as I recall, there was a government shutdown before this year was in 2013. And guess who was responsible for that? The fucking Republicans were. That's right. Obama managed to get through the Affordable Care Act when he was president. And Obama watered the original suggestions down. First they wanted single payer. Then they said, oh, maybe we can just water that down to a public option. And then they said, oh, maybe if we just do, like, you know, mandatory insurance for everybody, that will solve the problem. The GOP, Obama kept watering down the health care proposals, trying to get some of the members of Congress to go along in a bipartisan way with his proposals so that it would get more approval and be seen, I guess, as more legitimate because of it. But in the end, even though he watered it down to the point where it was a Republican plan that he was promoting, he still couldn't get any cooperation in Congress whatsoever. Not only did they give him no cooperation when it comes to passing the Affordable Care Act, but after it was passed, the Republicans in Congress wasted more than 50 times of congressional time trying to repeal the Affordable Care Act over and over and over again. Despite the fact that the people elected Obama, now Brock wants to make the point in his video last week that people elected Trump because they want that wall on the southern border. People elected Obama because we wanted single-payer health care, and it just didn't fucking happen. And it didn't happen because of the GOP, the Republicans in Congress, who don't know how to play anything other than hardball. Unfortunately, good old-fashioned politicking is a thing of the past. It doesn't happen anymore. This whole idea of bipartisan cooperation is bullshit from top to bottom, and I'm going to go into that in a minute. But suffice to say that the Republicans in Congress wouldn't give Obama an inch when it came to the Affordable Care Act. And a little bit around about a year before Obama was no longer president, Justice Scalia died on the Supreme Court, leaving a Supreme Court seat open, and Obama nominated Merrick Garland. That's who it was. He nominated Merrick Garland who he thought was a bit of a centrist judge, and therefore the GOP members of Congress would at least give him a hearing. But no, they wouldn't even give him a hearing. The Republicans in Congress were completely derelict in their constitutional responsibility to give a hearing to the nomination put forward by the president. They didn't necessarily have to give the nominee the position, but they should have given him a hearing at the very least. They didn't. They were completely derelict in their duty. So you've got the 2013 shutdown on the Republicans. And then when it comes to Merrick Garland in the Supreme Court, again, the Republicans basically just wouldn't do their fucking job in Congress. And now you've got Trump as president, and the Republican Party controls the Senate, the House, and the White House. And they've just shut down government for 3 or 4 days because they couldn't have their fucking way over DACA. Give me a break. Give me a break. A couple of weeks ago, Mitch McConnell was in the fucking Senate saying Congress has a responsibility to work with the president because he has a mandate. You didn't fucking think that when Obama was president, did you? Hell no. You tried to stifle the Affordable Care Act dozens and dozens of times. You refused to even give a hearing to the Supreme Court nominee. So don't give me any bullshit about how you think it's the responsibility of congressmen to support the president or to work with the president. No, that you don't think that unless the president's doing something that you want him to do. Like, oh, I don't know, tax reform. The Republican Party in Congress, over the month of November and December, bent over backwards and rushed through a tax reform bill that was so shoddy, bits of it were handwritten in notes on the sides of the pages. More than 400 pages with almost no normal congressional hearings or oversight went into that bill. But Republicans bent over backwards to push that thing through, breaking all kinds of traditional congressional conventions to do so. And meanwhile, the entire time that was happening, the CHIP program, the Children's Health Insurance Program, ran out in September. They knew it was gonna run out, and they let it run out, and they didn't even have a single conversation on the floor of the Senate or the House about CHIP. Until now, until they thought they could use the lives of children as bargaining tools to make the Democrats in Congress acquiesce. It's disgusting. What's going on in the country right now with the GOP and the way the GOP handles politics is disgusting. It's reprehensible. It's a dereliction of duty, and Trump is at the top of it all. Last but not least, let's talk a little bit about Trump and his dereliction of duty. I mentioned to Brock in the comments section in his video last week that, Puerto Rico still has like 40% of its citizens without any reliable electricity. That's 4 months, more than 4 months after the Hurricane Maria made landfall in Puerto Rico. All right? More than 4 months, and almost half the people don't have electricity. Over 350,000 Puerto Ricans have fled the island because there's too much work to be done and there's not enough services or food or electricity for them, and they've fucked off to the mainland of America because Puerto Rico is no longer inhabitable from their point of view. When Sandy hit New York a few years ago, it took a little over a week for power to get established in some places, and Donald Trump, of course, was on Twitter bitching about Obama, saying it was on Obama's shoulders, the fact that New York didn't have power a week after Hurricane Sandy. Well, if that was true of Obama, why is it not Trump's fault that Puerto Rico still doesn't have power? Brock paid me some lip service about how Puerto Rico's been the victim of its own leftist policies for so long and blah-de-blah-de-blah. No, sorry. Trump is in power now. Trump is in charge of FEMA now. And then there's the fucking outrageous situation that happened 10 days ago. 10 days ago, the people living in Hawaii got an emergency text message on their phones all at the same time, telling them that missiles were incoming. This is not a drill. Please seek immediate shelter. And for 38 minutes, the people of Hawaii didn't know if they were going to live or die. Meanwhile, at Mar-a-Lago's golf course, President Trump gets a message from some of his aides saying, Mr. President, there's a missile alert saying that missiles are inbound to Hawaii. Trump didn't even stop playing golf. He didn't take any phone calls. He didn't go anywhere. He stayed on the golf course and finished out his 18 holes, which suggests to me that either Donald Trump knew the alarm was false in the first place, or he didn't give a damn that Hawaii was about to be obliterated because, hey, if I'm going to nuke Kim Jong-un, I can at least finish my golf game before I do. There's no hurry. If you're going to kill everybody, right, there's no hurry. You don't have to rush about that. Now, don't get me wrong. Kyle Kalinske on Secular Talk made the point that, hey, if he was playing golf and didn't stop playing golf, that's actually a good thing because if he rushed into action, he might have done something stupid. Point taken, however, is still an unquestionable dereliction of presidential duty. When someone tells the president that missiles are inbound and the president doesn't jump into action, that should put the fucking screaming willies in everybody. We should all be frightened of that. I don't care if you're a Trump supporter or not. How you can justify the president getting a missile alert and not doing anything about it and carrying on playing golf, that's reprehensible. It cannot be defended. At the very least, Trump should have tried to find out who has the authority to set this alert off in the first place, on what evidence was it based, do I need to do anything? He didn't ask any questions, he didn't go anywhere, and didn't do anything but keep playing golf. When it comes to the dereliction of duty, the president is at the top of the list. The president spent more than 25% of his first year in office at the golf course. That can't be okay. Not only did he spend all that time at the golf course, but it's his own golf course, which he then bills the government to pay him by. He spent more than $100 million of taxpayers' money playing golf and paying it to himself. Trump is so corrupt and so obviously corrupt, and none of the GOP senators or Congress people seem to be prepared to stand up to their president and demand that he behaves himself. It's my brother's opinion in California. When I was there in November, he said that basically he thinks the GOP is just waiting to get a bloodbath in the 2018 November elections, and if that happens, which he has every reason to suspect it will, and I tend to agree with him, it's at that point that whatever congressmen and congresswomen and senators that remain after the drubbing they're going to get in November will be out for blood and crucify Trump for everybody. Which, do we really have to wait until November? Maybe the GOP would stand a better chance of recouping some of their inevitable losses in November if they got that train started now. Just a thought. I think there's so many things to despise about the GOP. I really can't even list them all in a single video. I'm already going over 13 minutes. I mean, Trump wants to make it legal for people to discriminate against LGBTQ people based on their religious beliefs. He wants to actually codify that into law. Go fuck yourself, Trump. That's not okay. All right? Everybody in the country is equal and deserves the equal protection of the law. That's already a constitutional amendment. All right? You can't make laws that contravene the Constitution. They'll fail in court anyway. But we shouldn't even make it have people have to jump through those hoops. If you can see on paper that a law breaks the bloody Constitution, don't make that law. Which brings me on to another thing. Last week, the Republicans passed, with Democratic support, let me add, the Republicans passed permission for the executive branch to increase and extend its powers to use warrantless surveillance towards American citizens. Now, I absolutely object to that on every level. Not only do I object to it from the fact that the GOP pushed it through, but they got a lot of Democratic support as well, which they needed to push it through, and they got it. There's clearly a certain group of Democratic politicians who aren't really working for the people. They are just as corrupt as the Republicans that I'm moaning about right now. So to say that the GOP is the only corrupt party or the most corrupt party is probably being a little bit disingenuous. At the end of the day, there's so much corruption going on in Washington, and it spans the political spectrum, Republican and Democrat. And we've got to vote out the ones who are the biggest parts of the problem. And those are, it's clear to see. You can actually trace the money. It's, thank God for the internet, right? Because you can see where this money is coming from and who it's going to and what decisions are getting paid for and by whom, okay? All of that information is in the public domain, and I might make another video about it, sort of exposing some of those links in the future. I want to thank you all for watching this video. Sorry it's gone on for so long. I look forward to a lively discussion in the comments section, and Sister Danger should be here for tomorrow's video. I look forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks for watching. May all your ups and downs be ups.